Hey guys, this is Dexion the Gamer, and I'm coming back to you with another one. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about how to maximize your GPU performance and to get the best efficiency out of your RTX 40 series or 50 series card. And so with that being said, I'm just going to make this quick and painless. What we're going to be doing is going over settings that you should absolutely turn on if you want to get the most out of your GPU, get the lowest input lag, and have the best experience. So first thing we're going to be doing is going into our Windows settings, and just for it quickly, you can go into game mode settings here. Just type in game mode, and that's going to come up with your option here. And then you'll see this little screen here. You want to make sure game mode is on first of all. Then you're going to click on graphics down here, and you're going to want to HDR. That's up to you guys if you use HDR. I don't. Optimizations for Windows games, you want to make sure that is clicked on, and then right below that you're going to click on advanced graphics settings. Make sure hardware accelerated GPU scheduling is on, and if you have a variable refresh rate monitor, make sure that is on as well. Alright, so that takes care of that. The next thing we're going to do is go onto the NVIDIA app, and we are going to go into our global settings for graphics here. And before actually I get into that, what I want to do is make sure that my G-Sync is on. So just click on this section here, make sure G-Sync is on for full screen and windowed as well. Then you're going to go into your graphic settings and your global settings, and you're going to go down to where it says low latency mode. That's the first thing you want to do. Make sure that is on. You do not need to put it on ultra. Don't bother with that. Just put it to on. And then you're going to go to monitor technology. Make sure it's on G-Sync compatible or AMD FreeSync, whichever one you have. You want to make sure power management mode is set to prefer maximum performance. Shader cache size, you can just leave it at the driver setting as default. If you have a large SSDs, you can set it to up to 10 gigabytes if you want to. The driver does do a pretty decent job by itself. And then what you also want to do, which is very important, is you want to turn vertical sync on, and you do not want to turn it on in your game. You want to turn it on here in the global settings in the NVIDIA app. You can also do this the old way if you use the NVIDIA control panel, and I'm just going to open that up here just for everyone to see. When you go to manage 3D settings, you'll have your little menu here, and it's basically the same options that we just went over with here. There's vertical sync right here. A shader cache size is right over here, and then you got the low latency mode here. And you also want to make sure that your G-Sync is on, or your AMD FreeSync is on as well. So the most important thing also that you want to do is you want to set a max frame rate. Setting your max frame rate is going to accomplish two things. It's going to make your latency as low as possible, and it's also going to make sure that you prevent any kind of screen tearing or anything else like that. Don't know about you guys, but I absolutely hate screen tearing. I would probably take more ghosting or more sizzling than over screen tearing. Screen tearing is an absolute abomination to my eyes. So you notice here I have it at 152 frames per second, and I am on a 160 hertz display. So the reason why you want to do that is because if you set your max frame rate below your hertz frame rate limit, it's going to give you the best latency. And there's a calculation to do this. So basically, it's your refresh rate times your refresh rate divided by 3600. I'm going to say that again. It's your refresh rate times your refresh rate divided by 3600. So with that being said, for example, if you have a 120 hertz refresh rate, so that's a 120 times 120 divided by 3600, and that's going to give you the number 4. You're going to subtract the refresh rate of your monitor by 4. So that's going to give you 116. That's where you want to set your frame rate cap. If you're on a 144 hertz display, that's 144 times 144 divided by 3600. That's going to give you 5.76 subtracted from 144. That's going to put you at 138.24. You can skip the 0.24, just put it at 138. If you're on a 160 hertz display, that's going to put you at 152. If you're on a 180 hertz display, that's going to put you at 171, and you can just leave it at 170 or 172 just to make sure you have an even number on your frame rate cap, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick comparison with DLAA on this slight test in Cyberpunk, and I'm using the Ultra preset, no ray tracing, no path tracing, just using rasterization. And so at 4K native, what I want you to pay more attention to more than anything else is the latency. So this is with no frame rate cap, G-Sync is off, V-Sync is off, and low latency is off as well. So this is the absolute purest native format you can get. So we're running at about 77 milliseconds right now, which I consider to be past the comfort zone of acceptable. And so what I'm going to do is just put on DLSS quality to see what that can do with our latency here. And okay, so that brought it down to a more respectable 43 milliseconds. So this is with no frame gen, just straight up DLSS quality, and it's running at about 100 frames per second with all settings on ultra, no path tracing, no ray tracing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back with G-Sync and V-Sync and using our latency settings. All right, and so we're back. And so as you can see here, we are at about the same frame rate, just about a little over 100 frames per second. And our latency basically got cut in half. So we're at about 20 milliseconds right now. 43 milliseconds was about the average before, and that was actually pretty good. But now, as you can see, if you apply G-Sync, V-Sync, low latency mode, and use the same exact settings as we did before, we're now at 22 milliseconds. And that means you can add on more graphical features and even frame generation, and you'll still be probably within the same millisecond range as we were before. So let's check that out. All right, so coming back into the settings, I'm just going to leave it at RT overdrive on the preset. And we're going to keep everything there. So path tracing is enabled and everything is set to ultra and high as it was before. And I'm even going to use DLSS to set to quality. Ray reconstruction is going to be on. We're going to apply that. And we're also going to be applying frame generation on the 2x mode. And so we're back, and so we have frame generation enabled, set to 2x on the path tracing mode here. And so let's continue where we left off. All right, so now we do have path tracing enabled, and if you could take a look at our latency, it is at about 40 to 42 milliseconds, which is excellent. And that is with path tracing enabled, so we're getting about the same 107 frames per second. Game feels extremely snappy. I can play like this all day. 45 milliseconds there. So that's really going to improve your response time, and you can simply just keep it this way in order to have the combination of the best graphics quality and smooth frame rates, as well as very good latency. So let's crank it up to frame gen 3 times and see what that does to impact the latency. All right, so we just hit apply on frame gen 3x, and so we're going to continue. And now we are getting closer to our frame rate target, and our latency really did not move up much at all. It's still in the low 40 millisecond range. I'm not seeing any kind of artifacts or anything else like that. The button still feels snappy. I'm not getting any kind of weird lag or anything else like that. Yeah, so this is something that you can definitely mess around with, but as you guys can see, you're getting the best possible scenario if you just use those 3 triggers: V-Sync, G-Sync, low latency, and you can really unlock the power of your RTX series card. And just to maximize everything to make sure I'm running at the highest efficiency, what I typically do is just get my upscaling to either use balanced or a performance if I can agree with the graphical quality. And then I'll just use frame gen to hit my target, which would be in this case 152, and that should be able to give me the best combination of GPU wattage, efficiency, and latency all wrapped into one package. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so and now as you can see, my latency is getting down into the 30s, so 39, 38 milliseconds. So this is going to be your best case scenario. This is peak efficiency. Temperatures are, not even going above 50 Celsius. My GPU power is comfortably under 400 watts, and yeah, this is going to be the best case scenario for your gaming efficiency and your performance and your experience. I'm not getting any kind of artifacts with frame generation. It's not adding any crazy latency, and you guys saw it when I was using native. The latency was even higher. So this is how you effectively use the features on the RTX 40 and 50 series. And I hope you guys got some value out of this, and please do consider liking and subscribing. I'm going to be doing more videos going over latency, efficiency, and also comparing DLSS 4.5 and talking about ray reconstruction and why we're probably not going to get an update to ray reconstruction. All right, guys, without further ado, peace and take it easy.